Engineering Committee to order at 5 p.m. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Roll call. Both Director Snyder and Kulijwa are present. The next item is approval of the agenda. I make a motion approval of the agenda.
No changes to the
No agenda. Okay.
I motion to approve the agenda.
Second. Second item is public comment. Do we have public comment today?
There's nobody in person or online.
All right. And 3, can we get approval of the minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second. All right, and then in a short bit, we'll have our presentation on the Asteria satellite. I'll let you take it. Inspections.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon. We have the presenter coming in. He's parking his car, but just to kind of give you an update on this technology. It's been a few years. There was a presentation at AWWA on this technology for satellite, using satellite imagery to detect subsurface water leaks. Oh, welcome. And there were case studies done. Of course, we'll have Mantis here give you the background history of this technology. But with Mantis being here, I think we could just roll it over to the presenter.
All right, thank you.
All right, perfect. Thanks so much for having me, guys. Are you guys going to handle the slide deck for me? Okay, perfect. Do I have a certain time frame that I need to hit? All right.
How long do you think?
It's
Let's start with that.
depending on questions. So the presentation itself should be about 30 minutes. And then questions should give or take about an hour, but that portion will be on you guys.
Let's start with the 30 minutes.
Okay, perfect. All right, guys. Thank you for having me. So my name is Matthias. I've been at Astera for 2 years. I handle the West Coast, so that's 16 different states and 3 territories in Canada. My primary markets right now, California, obviously, Arizona, Colorado, and Oregon as well. We've kicked off a few projects here recently, which I think you guys know a little bit about those. But yeah, I'm ready to go ahead and get going here. If we can go to the next slide. We are going to be talking about satellite-based leak detection today. I will put it to you guys in layman's terms. Essentially what we do, we take a satellite image of the system and we run our analysis on that image. We're going to highlight where treated water is pooling in within your system, and then we send a field investigation team to pinpoint exactly where those leaks are. So I'll explain that a little bit more into detail, but we're essentially providing you guys a heat map, guiding you to the areas where we see treated water. All right, next slide. Perfect. So I won't touch base too much on this because I'm sure you guys are well aware. Water loss is a big crisis, very expensive with climate change, technician shortage, and here in California, the ever-evolving regulations. It's a big problem. And what I'm going to present to you guys is our proactive leak detection solution to solve that. We'll go ahead to the next one. All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about Astera. I'm going to give you guys essentially a story. We'll talk some numbers too of what we've done since we started. Our CTO and co-founder, Loren Guy, he worked on the project to find water on Mars. Okay, he was granted funding through NASA and he was a part of that team. Once they started seeing some success, he said, hey, we can use this satellite to just turn it around, use it on Earth, and maybe we can start using it for something on Earth. Turned the satellite around, he broke apart from that, and for about 3 years, he just did some research and development, and he found that he could actually differentiate between the types of waters that he could see on there. Thus, Astera was born. 2016, we hit the market, and we've been hitting the ground running ever since. I'll talk about numbers in a second, but that last bullet point on the slide there, if you'll see, the AWWA Innovation Award. Okay, we were the very first recipients. So we had been in the market for about 5 years. AWWA decided, hey, let's have a look at technologies, who's bringing innovation into the industry, and we were actually the very first recipients of that. So hoping that our other solutions in the future will help us win that again, but very proud of that honor of bringing innovation to the industry. All right, I'm not going to talk too much on this. I'll guide your attention to the numbers on the left-hand side. We are working in over 64 different countries with over 900 projects. That 170,000 leaks verified, that's a little outdated. We just hit the 180,000 leak mark. We were the very first leak detection company to hit 100,000 leaks. We did that in March of last year. So it took us about 8 years to get to 100,000. Since March of last year, we've already found another 80,000 leaks. So we are scaling very quickly, working all over the world and helping save a ton of water. There's some numbers there on the right-hand side you guys can have a look at just to kind of paint a picture. 557 million gallons of water saved. That's roughly the amount that flows over Niagara Falls in a week, just to kind of paint a picture. A ton of water on that front. Let's go ahead and dive into the technology. So if you could hit one, oh, I actually don't have the live action one, but the top right-hand side, you'll see the satellite in polar orbit. So essentially we use 2 commercial satellites, and these commercial satellites have a particular radar on it. We'll talk about that in a second. What you're seeing on the left-hand side, that's the size of the images that we can take. Do you guys recognize that area? San Francisco Bay, exactly. If you see the size of that, it's capturing all of San Francisco PUD. It captures a large portion of East Bay Mud, who is our largest customer here on the West Coast. Then it even gets some of Napa, and then some of Marin as well. Okay, very, very large images. The reason I'm talking about that is because it allows us to capture not just full systems entirely, but multiple systems in one image. Okay, if you were able to go in with a neighboring utility, it can help drop the cost just because of economies of scale. You guys can essentially share the cost of that image, and that brings down the pricing. We've presented that before. We weren't able to get moving forward, but some nearby utilities that have already used this are both Hesperia and Victorville. All right, so very large images. All right, allows us to do multiple full system scans every year. So it's not just one time per year. We can do it multiple times depending on the need for it. All right. When we get to the second portion there in the middle, the sensor, this is talking about the L-band synthetic aperture radar. All right. That's the radar we use to take these images. We use it for 2 reasons. 1, it's very sensitive to water. And 2, it can penetrate the Earth's surface. And that's what you're seeing in that picture, the layers. All right. The average penetration depth we have on these is up to 10 feet. In very dry, arid, and frozen, specifically Mars, frozen soils, we can go a lot deeper. So in some of the projects we've had in the Middle East, we've been able to go as deep as 30 feet. Okay, we can't promise that every single time. In clay type is the hardest to see, and we can get up to 10 feet in those. I would imagine your guys is a little bit drier. I'm just assuming here. I'm not too sure. That being said, you guys know your system better than me. I'm going to assume here, just based off all the presentations and meetings I've had with California utilities, the majority of your water mains are going to be within that 10 feet. They should be about 5 to 3 feet, give or take. Yeah. You might have maybe, I don't know, some transmission lines that are a little deeper. If they're getting to 15 feet or deeper, we may have an issue on those, but I would assume that at least 90 to 95% of your mains are going to be within that 10 feet. So all that being said, it's not just soil that we can penetrate through, okay? We can penetrate through cloud cover, snow, brush, trees, concrete, asphalt. None of those things are an issue for us, but it does have limitations, okay? We cannot penetrate through metal, all right? So if we go ahead and take the image, let's just say right now, and there's a semi truck that drives directly over the leak and completely covers the leak, that's gonna be one of the ones we're gonna miss, okay? But again, it's 10 feet of penetration. So we take these images and we do multiple per year, all right? Every other image is gonna be at a different angle. So let's just say that semi truck is parked from, I don't know, March till August in the same exact spot. And the first image is covered, all right, from directly down. The next image might be at a different angle. Best way to look at it is we see that screen there very easily walking in from that door. That's one angle. If we were walking from that, I see a fridge back there. It might be a kitchen. If you were walking in from that door, you wouldn't be able to see that TV screen at all, right? So subsequent images will have different angles, and we can see a lot more with each one. Okay, we'll go to the next one here. All right, it skips because it kind of highlights certain things. Just look at the left-hand side of the screen here. So this is going to be essentially the solution that was used on Mars. It's looking for any type of water. Their project was to find water. If they find water, they would assume that there is life on the planet, right? So on the left-hand side, you see that both pure water and seawater have the same number, 81, dielectric constant of 81, all right? When you're looking at the graph on the right-hand side, oh, you zoomed in on that. That's awesome. Wasn't it? Can you zoom in on the one on the right-hand side now for me? No, this is great. This helps a lot. Okay, perfect. So if you see that kind of like wave-like structure on the top, the far left-hand side, that's going to be the solution that was used to find water on Mars. All the water points, they look pretty much the same. So if you look at my hand here, it looks like this, right? Our solution, using L-band synthetic aperture radar, has a longer wavelength. So what starts to happen is what you see on the right-hand side. The water starts to separate. Now we can identify different types of water. And the solutions that we have out in the market right now are for potable water and wastewater. We do also have patents for groundwater, seawater. We have 15 different patents altogether. We just haven't brought them out to the market yet. Reclaimed, I would assume, is probably next, but I don't know when that one's coming. Right now, the two we have in the market are potable water and wastewater. Why am I telling you this? Because the solution we give you guys, we're not just looking at water in general underground. We're looking at exactly treated water. What do we look at when we're looking for this? We're looking at the conductivity range. So the chemicals that are treating the water, chloramine, fluoride, chlorine, all of these are going to start to dissipate over time. But when they're consistently saturating the soil, it's going to change that conductivity range for us. All right? So this is what brings me to what is it that we actually see when we take these scans? What is it that we highlight? We can see a leak as small as 0.2 gallons per minute with the stipulation that it is leaking for at least 48 hours. If it's not leaking that long or at that magnitude, we're not going to be able to see it. Why? Because those chemicals start to dissipate. So let's take, for example, let's just say I live right here across the street and I have a long weekend. I leave Friday and I turn my sprinklers on and forget to turn them off. Okay? I come back Monday night the next week. All right? That's 3 days of consistent water saturation. That would be something that would pop up on our scan. Absolutely. Why? Because it is a leak of a significant magnitude and it is leaking for more than 48 hours. So things like that will pop up. It's not as common, but the reason I'm telling you this is It's going to rule out rainwater. It's going to rule out groundwater. It's going to rule out irrigation for the most part, unless someone leaves their sprinklers on, or if you guys have land in the area that is used for farming. I know there's points of the year where they irrigate 5, 6, 7 days straight. Ideally, we just won't take the scan during that time. All right? We'll go ahead and go to the next one. All right. So this is, can we zoom out of that one? Thank you. So unfortunately, this has like a step-by-step kind of picture to paint here, but I'll just walk you guys through it. What is the step-by-step process of this? So first, we identify the boundaries. We've been talking to you guys for about a year or so, so we have the boundaries of your system already. Second, what we do is make sure that the satellite scan can cover the entire system. Okay? Step 3 is we take the GIS layer and we overlay it on top. So every bit of data that we're giving you guys is directly affiliated with your system. So we're not giving you any neighboring systems water pipes, all right? It's gonna be directly off of your GIS. All right, finally, we provide back points of interest, which looks a little like this, but let's go ahead and move to the next slide. This will paint a little bit better of a picture, okay? This is also a step-by-step one, so I typically show 1 scan. What does that look like? 2 scans, but if you'll humor me here, the first scan, all right, those are the blue dots. So let's just say we take a scan in March. All right, we're going to have a certain amount of points of interest. All right, some of the leaks in your system are not going to show up on every single scan. It could be due to the size. It could be something is covering it, a little bit of interference. It could just be at the angle we're taking that image. All right, that's why we always advocate for at least 2 scans. If you guys aren't dealing with any major water loss that has you guys like not sleeping at night and you need to get it down immediately, then I might suggest more. But for California utilities, I'm typically suggesting 2 images. All right, there is one in the last 2 years that I've suggested more because they had that water mandate reduction. I think it was like real water loss reduction requirement. It was like at 98%. And they were dealing with a ton of water loss. That's the only utility I've recommended it to. Typically, California utilities are right around 10% water loss, if not better than that. So typically 2 scans. So with 1 scan, you would see the blue points. All right, with 2 scans, you would see the purple points. So that's a different angle, a different set of points of interest. Maybe some still pop up, all right, from 1 scan to the next. Why might that be? We deliver this data, and then we send our team out to investigate. If you think about it, a 0.2 gallon per minute leak, if we're going out to look and it's the bare minimum that we can see, that's a very, very small leak, okay? That might be hard to pinpoint acoustically, which is the team we're gonna send out. So if we can't find it the first time around, there's a chance that it's probably gonna pop up on the second scan. Okay, with that time we give in between scans, then we send the team out to investigate. All right. Any questions there so far?
Yeah, so when you talk about sending an acoustic team out, that's probably a decent expense if you have 700 leaks or 700
Points of interest.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Yeah. So it's going to depend mainly on the linear miles of pipe that you guys have. Okay. That's our best estimate for it. Granted, you guys, about how many miles of pipe do you have? Like 350? Okay. So let's just say you guys are 350 at 7% water loss. Okay. Maybe we give you guys, I don't know, 90 points of interest to investigate. Let's just say you guys are 350 with 60% water loss. It's probably going to be a lot more. Why? Because there's more water loss on that point. What is it that we offer with this? We offer sufficient boots on the ground to go and investigate 90 to 100%. Reason being, we can get really close, but we can't hit it on the head. Exactly how many days you guys are going to need. We sell them in increments of 5 days. But we're going to 90 to 100% of the points of interest that you will see in one scan. Okay? If you guys want to add more after, or if you want to split them up, let's just say we give you guys 10 days. You want to split up 5 for the first scan, have your team investigate the other 5 days, and then for the second scan you do another 5, and then have your team, that can work out. The idea there would be our customer success manager would talk in cohesion with your team, and then kind of set that up to see how you guys want to pursue. We recommend bare minimum doing the 90 to 100 for at least one scan. Okay, why? Because it yields the best results.
Question for you based on those scans. Is it an option to not have the acoustic detection based off those points of interest? If we just ran perhaps 2 scans and used that data for internal consumption. Have you ever had any clients do that?
We have. Why do we suggest against it? I'll give you some examples. I think naturally you can think of why we would suggest against it. Why? Because sometimes water utility says, yeah, we have the manpower, we can do it, like no problem. And then that just happens to be the year they have 25 main breaks. All right, they have a ton of leaks that they have to attend to, and then this keeps getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. Okay.
If one were to ask for just a ballpark, how long would it take your team acoustically to pinpoint a point of interest?
A point of interest?
Just a rough guesstimate.
So one would be a little difficult to tell you. One point of interest is 300 feet radius.
Okay.
Okay. Typically, what a technician will investigate is 5 to 6 per day. Okay. So in 1 week and 5 days, we would estimate about 30 points of interest that they're investigating. Okay. There's been some where if they're very close proximity and you guys want them to just tackle as many as possible, they can get more than 30 in a week. But ideally, that's not what we want to do. We would want to talk to your team and be like, hey, here's a point of interest, go through the map. Is there any areas where you guys have seen recent failures where you think it would be most beneficial to find the leaks in that area first? And you guys might be like, yeah, maybe in Old Town. And we send the team out to investigate in Old Town. So it would depend on how we structure it. But if we're going if we're picking which points of interest, it's about 6 per day.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Another question to that. Will this detect the size of the leak?
The size of the leak, it will not.
It will not. It's just
It will
this is
not.
the leak. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be greater than 0.2 gallons per minute. That's what we can look at. I have a couple of case studies here where I can kind of paint the picture a little bit better for you and explain how that is. But sadly, the magnitude, we won't know until the team goes out and pinpoints it, and then they can give you an estimate. Obviously, once you go in to repair it, you'll have a better idea. But yeah, we can't identify the magnitude. All right. Okay, perfect. So this next slide here, this is a point of interest. Okay. If you guys look at the very middle of the screen, can you guys see there, it looks like a swimming pool, the blue part? Okay, we're going to pretend that right there, that's where the water is pooling, and that's what showed on our analysis. Okay? In a perfect world, the leak is coming from the pipe closest to it, right? But we know that's not the case. Water can travel underground. So it could be coming from the pipe right next to it. It could be coming from the pipe on the far right end of that picture. All right? That's essentially the nature of the buffer point that we give, the point of interest, the 300 feet radius. Why do we do that? We send a team out to investigate every single asset within that point of interest. So let's just say they started at the bottom left, and the very first asset they hit, they found a leak right away. It wouldn't be job done. We would still have them go through the entire point of interest. Why? Because we have many instances where we have found multiple leaks within one point of interest. They just end up gathering and pooling in the same area. All right? I'll give you an example of that in a little when we get to the San Bernardino case study. Each of these points of interest, we're going to take all the information from the GIS layer. So it's going to highlight all the assets. That way, when the team goes out into the field and investigates, let's just say they find one right where that yellow box is. They mark X, and then they're going to take a snapshot picture, update on the platform that we have. They're going to update and write the address and say, hey, leak off of a hydrant. Is it surfacing? Is it not surfacing? And then they'll say estimated 10 gallons per minute. Okay, they're going to mark X on the ground, so your crew is going to go out and then repair it from there. I do want to highlight, our team will not mark X on the ground unless they are absolutely sure the leak is there. Okay? If they can kind of get an idea that it's from that end of the table to this end of the table, they will write that in the notes, but they are not going to mark X on the ground. We don't want you doing dry digs. You don't want to do any dry digs. They're only going to mark if they're absolutely certain. If they're not, they could say suspected, it's within this area, maybe come back and revisit it in a month. Okay? Maybe it's in an area right by a highway, a lot of noise pollution. And they went right around, 8 a.m. traffic time. Okay? They might write on there, hey, investigate tomorrow at 10 a.m. when traffic died down. Something like that. All of that will be in the notes and on the platform. All right. So this is another step-by-step one, but that blue line on the top, we're going to pretend, so this is a water system. We're going to treat it as a living and breathing system. Over time, what's going to happen? More leaks are going to form. All right? Pipes are going to get old. Maybe the soil corrodes the pipes. More leaks it's inevitable. They're going to keep coming. The line underneath it, that would be a reactive approach. Okay? If the only leak repair you do is every time a customer phones in and gives you a call, you're definitely going to reduce the water loss. You're going to reduce the number of leaks you have in the system, but they're going to keep growing and growing and growing over time. Okay? The bottom line there is the proactive approach. All right? We suggest, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys have tried some sort of proactive leak detection before, like you contracted some guys? No? Okay. I recommend, even if you guys aren't interested in moving forward with this, I recommend some sort of proactive leak detection. Okay? Reason being, maybe your water loss right now is manageable, you're happy with the numbers, you're not getting audited, and life is good now. Over time, systems are going to age, systems will fail. If you don't have some sort of proactive leak detection in place, they're just going to keep rising and rising and rising. So if you decide not to go with the satellite leak detection method, some sort of acoustic method is still highly, highly recommended. Why? Because you're never going to get your leaks down to zero, but with a proactive approach, you can mitigate that water loss, you can mitigate the amount of leaks that are popping up, and catch them early before it turns into something more catastrophic. All right. With this is essentially the value of what we bring. All right. Right-hand side, this would be a system kind of close to what you guys are at. So 310 miles of pipe. If you want to proactively investigate 100% of your system with the traditional method, it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a big crew and a lot of resources. Not just the equipment, but the labor you have to pay the guys to go out into the field and do the investigation. All right. With us, we're going to narrow down your system of 350 miles, give or take. We're going to narrow it down to about 5 to 10% of that you're actually going to have a crew go out and investigate. Okay? What does that allow? It allows for multiple full system analyses per year. Okay? It's really, what is it? It's efficiency. Okay? We're narrowing down the search area. With that, we find more leaks and we find them faster. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and get into some case studies. Okay? So the first one is just going to highlight the traditional proactive approach versus the proactive approach with Astera. So this is New Braunfels, a city in Texas. They have about 573 miles of mains. Okay? They were dealing with about 18% water loss. And they actually, we can go ahead to the next slide. They were lucky enough to have 3 full-time technicians that all year round they had one job. And their job was to proactively investigate the system and try to find leaks that were subsurface, find them before a customer called in, find them before they broke to the surface. Okay? They estimated that they got through about 20% of their system per year. So what we did is we tracked one full system analysis. 5 years it took them. In those 5 years, what you see on the bottom, that's the total amount of leaks that they found proactively. 178 total leaks. So that's barring any customer phone calls, that's them out into the field finding subsurface leaks. Okay? So, what I'm going to show you on the next slide is going to be a comparison side by side of 2018, the last year before they worked with us, and the very first year they worked with us. All right? If you go to the second line, number of leaks found, you'll see right away, in 2018 alone, they found 16 leaks. With Astera's guided technology, in 2019, we found 229. Okay? That's tenfold what we found, but it gets even better when you look at the very next line. That same group of 3, they spent 249 days in 2018 out in the field, and they found 16 leaks. Okay? Guided by our technology, they only spent 56 days out in the field, and they found 229. All right? So, again, it's attesting to what? More leaks and finding them faster. You can go ahead and look at the cost. I think those aren't really the highlight here. Why? Not every system is going to have 3 full-time technicians that they can deploy, and their only job is proactive leak detection. Okay, so that's going to run the cost up, not just for the equipment for all 3 of them, but also for their labor. So it looks phenomenal. Oh, the traditional route, they paid $14,000 per leak found. With Astera, they only paid $700. It looks great. I think it's not very accurate. I have a benchmarking report that I'll show you after the next case study. It paints a much better picture and gives a better description. Are we cheaper? Yes. Are we that much cheaper? No. So I wouldn't pay attention too much to the dollar sign on this one. We'll go ahead to the next slide. This one here, this one's a little bit closer to home. I know we originally started talking with you guys through Bruno, who used to handle the West Coast territory. He's now the director of sales, so he's still with us. But you probably heard about this case study in the past, and this is San Bernardino. So large system again, probably about twice the size of what you guys have. And if you look at the bottom left-hand side, you'll see that they were dealing with a ton of water loss. All right, we'll go ahead to the next slide. Out of those 700 miles, they decided, hey, we're going to run this proactive leak detection with Astera and their satellite solution. And out of those 700 miles, they went and investigated 153 points of interest. They walked a total of 44.4 miles. I believe that's about 6% of their actual system that they walked. Okay? Out of those 153 points of interest, we'll go ahead to the next slide. They found, top left corner, 324 leaks. Okay? If you do the math, that's more than 2 leaks per point of interest investigated. So again, that's kind of attesting to what I was showing you guys when we zoomed in on that. We don't have our crew, just the second they find a leak, they stop. They go through the entire point of interest. Why? Because all that water could end up pooling in the same area. All right? Is this a phenomenal project? Absolutely. It's the best one we've had on the West Coast by far. I feel like it almost does a disservice to show you guys this, because then everyone starts to expect that they're going to get these results. This is one instance. Again, San Bernardino was dealing with so much water loss. A lot. I'd say they were probably in the top 10%, maybe 5% of most like water loss per mile in California. So if you decide to move forward with this, I'm going to tell you right away, if you guys replicate this, I will be shocked. I will be shocked. I don't think you guys are dealing with half the water loss that they were dealing with. But that being said, it does still kind of attest to the solution and that it works. All right. Looking into the middle column there, you're going to see the types of leaks we're going to find. Okay. We are going to find them everywhere. We will find them on your mains, on your services, on your hydrants. All right. And we will find them on the customer side as well. okay? I just want to warn you ahead of time. There are going to be those instances. If a property is gated and you have pipes going through, we're not going to send the crew to jump the fence. We had that, I forget what state it was. It was in the south one time. We send our crew, it wasn't even a gated property. Guy came out with a shotgun. What are you guys doing on my land? All right, we're not going to do that. If it's right off the side of the meter, and we can pinpoint exactly where it is, then we'll highlight it. If we see it coming from the customer side of the meter, we'll notify you guys of that. What you choose to do with it, or what you choose us to do with it, is completely up to you. We've had systems that are very large. They say, we have another 100 points of interest to get through. Move on to the next one. We're good. Fair. We've had systems that say, hey, let's use this to kind of build a relationship with the customers. Tell them, hey, we did a proactive leak detection analysis via satellite. We found a leak on your side of the meter. If you've had a lot of water loss and really high water bills lately, this might be why. Inform them, let them know. Completely up to you, okay? But we are going to find them on the customer side too. All in all, how was this project? Went really well. If you look at the bottom right-hand side of the slide, they reduced their water loss from about 50 gallons per connection per day down to about 18. All right. We have a very good relationship with Tim Potter. If you guys, he's the one who spearheaded it there. You guys have any questions, want us to put you in contact with him, I'm happy to give you the information. I talk to him probably once every 2 to 3 months, and he says, hey, you have anyone who has questions, send them my way. I'm happy to tell them about the project. All right.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So if you have all these data points all over the place, some would appear to be like on a main line, some might be at a meter box, some may be on the customer side. And this is probably involving George too. Can we sort those with our GIS to make the ones maybe on the main lines the priorities and have different tiers of importance for what we would need to go after? We would obviously want to go after the bigger ones first. Customer service, we could sort those and then they could compare to their bills. You know, does your meter never stop? That type of thing. And, you know, but what are the options with that type of sorting of the data that's provided?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we are going to run the analysis and we're going to provide the points of interest that we see. Okay? When it comes to the investigation portion, we want to work in tandem with you guys. We've had utilities who say, hey, you guys said you would investigate them, you go out and do it, just send us the results. We're like, okay, that's not the most ideal. We've had others that send their crew out with our team. We can also extend, let's just say, I think it's 20 days of boots on the ground recommended for you guys. If you wanted to use 5 days of those to do training with your team out in the field, you want to develop a proactive leak detection team, you can do that as well. All right. How are we going to prioritize? It would be sitting down with you guys in the kickoff meeting, or not in the kickoff meeting. It would be right before we send the crew out. But we're essentially going to go through the points of interest. If you guys make the time, we are happy to sit down with you, look at every point of interest, and start highlighting the ones you guys want to prioritize that you want to go for first. If you guys want us to do the entire job and just go through all the points of interest, we can do that. The real way to prioritize would be sitting down with you guys. You guys are going to know your system better than we can. Absolutely. You guys live here. You guys deal with it every day. You might know, hey, in Old Town, we keep having leaks pop up. Or, I don't know, over by the high school, there's been an issue in the past couple of years. Those things we can't know. So how do we prioritize? It's sitting down with you guys, looking at the data, and then starting to highlight what our plan of attack would be.
I would assume that being it looks at water pooling, you would get those data points, and then you look at those data points and see which ones would be your critical ones, where we have transmission mains, where we have, you know, grid mains or whatever, and then prioritize those pooled areas in correlation with our infrastructure.
Right, because we have the locations, the GPS locations of our assets for the most part.
Yeah.
And you could easily say which ones are on a parcel, you know, if it's away from the main, you know, if there's proximity to a meter box that's already been located. So let George think about that one, how that could be sorted out.
Yeah, and that was a question on determining the size of the leak with the technology so that we can focus on the bigger leaks
Right.
and smaller leaks. On the customer side, I mean, we do have that, smart meters that can detect constant flow, so, finding it on the customer side is not really, I think, something we're gonna deal with, looking at their 23 customer side leaks, but the system with San Bernardino, older system, and I'm kind of curious to know after the fact, taking the data on the age of pipe, the type of pipe, and their findings with, and compare it to ours. I know Victorville's doing theirs, Hesperia's doing theirs. I don't
Yeah.
know how deep they're gonna get into the analysis of
Yeah.
the leaks on mainline. You know, I've kind of spoken with, staff over at Victorville about this.
Yeah.
But even with Hesperia, I know they have some challenges with their leaks. Those are the questions I have in my mind, is to compare on, like, the 114 mainline.
Yeah.
It stands out on this.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I'll tell you right now, if we have one issue that we would say with our customers, it's that we can't get a hold of them enough. We know how busy you guys are, but for us, if you guys want to sit down and get into it, our customer success managers, like, all this data is not just going to be helpful for you guys, it's going to be helpful for us. So if you want to go and get into it, age of pipe, pipe material, locations, all of that, like, I can guarantee you that we're going to want to sit down and do this with you. That is super beneficial to us. Just the thing is, we know you don't have ample time. We know that you might set a meeting, let's just say tomorrow, 1 p.m., and then you have a main break, and then it's, all right, we got to get this fixed right away. So for us, if it's something you guys would want to do, look into, I know my account management team would be thrilled to hear that. That's a lot of the things we're asking. We're always trying to figure out how can we sit down with them and go through the data a little more, look at the age of the pipe material. These are all things we want to do as well.
I think part of this also, you bring in the component of AI to kind of do the analysis, and I know Jen, probably her wheels are turning on how to consume the data and then come up with, probability.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely.
that's really what I think I'm more focused on is what do we look like as far as mainline?
Gotcha.
Service lines, we know, we've been mitigating that for over the last 6-7 years with replacements, but we're proactive. We're not quite proactive, we're reactive, when there is a leak. So
Gotcha.
this method is a bit more proactive, and that's kind of what we're looking at.
Definitely, definitely. All right, we'll go ahead to the next one here. When I was mentioning the results of New Braunfels, I told you guys don't look at the price. Reason being, this is a much more accurate depiction. If you look at first of all, let's go to the second line. You'll see, hold on, let me take a step back. So what you see on the right-hand side, SILD, that's satellite image leak detection. We are the only company in the world who does this. We have patents, we have sole source documentation if you guys need. All those projects are us. There's no one else in the world who does this, okay? What we're comparing is 880 of our projects to over 2,000 projects of traditional boots on the ground, okay? When you go to the second line, you see right away, in less than half the projects, we have found over 4 times the amount of leaks, okay? So more leaks. You go to the very next line and you see leaks found per crew day, all right? 1.3 on average with a traditional approach, 5.5 on average with the satellite guided method, okay? More leaks, find them faster. I do want to highlight that 5.5, that is worldwide results for us, okay? We did hone in to be more specific and look at what our results are in North America. That's US and Canada, and in Canada, the results are not very good, reason being their pipes are super, super deep. But even with their results in there, we are seeing about 3.7 leaks per day. So it's not as high as the 5.5, but it's still almost 3 times faster than the traditional method, okay? Now, hovering down to the very next line, that's a more accurate depiction of the cost, okay? In New Braunfels, you saw they were paying about $14,000 per leak. That's the truth, but it just doesn't paint a real clear picture. Typically, we are cheaper. We're about just a little over half the price, but not that much cheaper, not $14,000 compared to $600. All right. So that being said, this is just the best sample size we can get you guys for now. This was done in 2023. I'm hoping we get an updated one because we found double the amount of leaks that you guys see on the screen there to date. So I'm really curious to see how much we've improved since we added AI and machine learning to our data. But hopefully we get that in the next year. I know our marketing team is working really hard to get another updated benchmarking report on this for us. Okay. Next, so this would be a question for you guys. I know I included it. You guys deal with wastewater as well? No? Okay, we're gonna skip right over this. Skip this one as well. This is a solution I'll show you guys. Again, our bread and butter is going to be the leak detection, the proactive leak detection via satellite. Our master plan uses those images and highlights for you guys essentially a pipe deficiency assessment. All right, we'll go ahead to the next one. What we are going to do here is we are adding to the information you guys already use. So when you're looking at your master plan at the end of the year and seeing, hey, what portion of the system do we want to replace? You guys probably go off the age of the pipe, some of the things we just talked about, age of the pipe material, and maybe the service history, right? So with us, we'll go ahead and go to the next slide. We are going to give, what we're going to give you guys is not going to be a likelihood of failure or a consequence of failure. We're going to highlight actual failure happening real time. So we'll go one more. We're going to do a temporal and spatial analysis. So what does that mean? We're going to take 2 scans back to back, okay, of your system, and we are going to highlight those points of interest that overlap. Okay, if they overlap directly, that's going to be what you see there as high pipe deficiency. So it's going to be 2 scans back to back, highlighting that we saw treated water saturating the soil within that area. Again, remember, it has to be saturating for at least 48 hours. So when they overlap directly, we'll do high pipe deficiency. When they're a cluster next to each other, not necessarily overlapping, we'll go medium pipe deficiency. Those outliers that only show up on one scan, those will be lower. Are we going to tell you, hey, look at this map and everything that's red you need to replace tomorrow? No, absolutely not. But what is this going to do for you guys? When you guys are looking at your master plan at the end of the year and you have maybe, I'll use the 2 made up examples I had before. Maybe you have Old Town where you've seen a lot of leaks pop up in the last couple of years, and then you have the high school. Both of them are popping up. Both of them have pipe material that you guys have seen to be inefficient in your soil, and you don't know which one you want to replace, and it's one or the other. This could be used as a tiebreaker. Okay, we use this in tandem with the same scans that we've already taken of the system, and we essentially run the analysis with those points of interest and highlight the pipe off of the GIS layer. Okay, again, it's not an end-all be-all. It's just providing more data for you guys when you go to make those decisions. So in the case that you have no idea which pipe to replace and it's a toss-up between 1, 2, maybe even 3, this could be something to help guide that because it's giving you guys insight as to what is happening right now. All right, so we'll go ahead and go to the next slide. That is my presentation. I took a little bit longer than expected. Sorry, I talked your ears off for about 50 minutes there, but I'll pass the mic over to you guys. Any other questions?
So, quick question. If we run a scan here in the district, within our district boundary, there is another water district, an island in our district. Will that be part of the data that would be provided to us, or are you going to take those POIs out of the results?
Yeah, so we're going to go based off your GIS layer. So We can narrow it down as close as, I think each of the pixels are about 18 feet. So let's just say it lands right on the line of both of you guys, then we'll highlight it. If it's squarely inside of there and it has nothing going out into your side of the system, we won't touch it. Unless, however, that pipe is included in your GIS, then we would highlight it and give it back to you guys. But I would assume it wouldn't be.
Yeah, so there are some cases where our lines parallel the other agency. So, you know, we're going to be looking at, well, where's the leak coming from, right? Maybe we go back to Sheep Creek and say, hey, we found a leak for you.
Yeah.
You know, cough up.
Yeah. Chip in.
Yeah, chip in a little bit. Yeah, so the question I had is those points of interest, they would be eliminated from the POIs that would be
Yeah.
provided to us.
If it has, if none of your pipe from the GIS layer that you provide us is on that area, we're not going to highlight it. Okay. If it overlaps, then, and there's one right there, well, your pipe is there. So we're going to assume that it's your pipe, but if they're overlapping in the same line, it could be either or. We won't be able to know that until we get in there. If they're literally side by side, yeah.
So I have a question about the field investigation. You know, you say you send a crew out and they can evaluate if, you know, where they think the leak is. How would it work with our crews being trained to do the same thing with the equipment? I mean, the equipment is standard equipment once you're to that point, as far as, you know, whatever equipment you use. How would your company look at that as far as us doing some of that in-house?
Yeah, so the cost for the 5 days of the investigation would be the same cost as the 5 days for training.
Okay.
Why? Because that crew is coming out here and ideally what it is, it's going to be like a couple of days. Like they'll go through and they won't go over things your crew already knows. And they'll probably ask, hey, are you guys familiar with this? It'll be indoors. They'll do some sort of PowerPoint presentation. They'll show you the equipment. If you have used it before, it'll go quicker. If you haven't used it, then essentially they'll teach you exactly how we use it. Talking about the crew here, right? So it'll be about 2 days. And then the next 3 days, they're out in the field in tandem with your crew, showing them all the best practices to find those leaks. How many days do you want contracted with those? That would be completely up to you guys. What I would recommend beforehand, if that is something you guys are looking for, before we even move forward, and I'll explain why in a second, we would need to know exactly what equipment you guys have and how many people you would be kind of dedicating to this effort. Reason being, we've had systems in the past where we say, hey, we can send a crew or you can use your crew. And they say, yeah, let's use our crew. We have equipment. It's great. Come the day where we're going to do the field investigation and, all right, where's your equipment? They're like, it's in the closet. We open it up. It's a box that hasn't been opened. We won it in a raffle. It's a leak detector. So those things happen. So for us, no matter what, so I think you what was your name? I'm sorry? I'm Sean.
Sean, yes, sir.
Sean, I think you asked earlier if we could have you guys do the investigation as opposed to our team. No matter what, our minimum package, if we're not sending our guys out, we are going to include a minimum of 5 days of boots on the ground. We recommend doing the full 20. Why? Because we know life gets busy and you put it off 1 week, you could put it off 2 weeks, and it could get behind you. Then the data that we took the scan in January, now it's August, it might be outdated at that point, right? We include, no matter what, 5 days included for free. We're not charging extra. 5 days of boots on the ground that'll come out. Okay, reason being is that we've had people tell us in the past, yes, we have a team. And then we give them the data and they don't investigate anything. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's useless to them. Their neighboring utility says, well, they bought from you guys. They didn't find any leaks. No one investigated. So we include 5 days no matter what. The training is up to you guys, but what is in the proposal, I need to send an updated one. The last one expired. That's going to be the minimum that we recommend. If you guys fight back tooth and nail and say, we're not doing the boots on the ground, we're not, despite our recommendations, we'll honor it, but just the best results to get the return on investment is to have our guys go out. If your guys can go out in tandem, it's going to be just all the better.
Yeah, because I could see when the first scan of the district, you're going to have 12,000 points pop up. And we got a lot of square miles.
I think it would be, sorry to interrupt you, I think it would be probably between 100 and 150. Even that much.
Okay.
I think that might even be on the higher side.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. Your experience with that, so.
Yeah.
But so that would make it more reasonable,
Right.
to look at that. And then how often would you rescan it, the district?
Yeah, so we live in Southern California. We're very lucky with our weather. We can do the scans at whatever time of the year, pretty much all year round. What affects that? So let's just say City of Aspen, they're one of our customers. They get a ton of snow. They're not going to send a crew to investigate in the middle of winter during a blizzard, right? So when do they schedule their scans? Spring, when the snow has cleared and all the assets are available, or I guess visible, and then in the fall before the snow comes. Typically, we like to do it, the best results are a scan, and about 6 months later, the second scan. But if you guys say, hey, let's do our scan January 1st, and then March, you already investigated all the points of interest, and you feel like you have more leaks and you want to get the crew out there, we'll sit down and chat and we can get it scheduled for sooner. But we recommend 2 scans about 6 months apart.
So based on your maybe 150 points of interest here, how do you come up with that number based on how many did you have in San Bernardino? Is it just their system was that bad? I mean, they had, it was in the thousands.
Yeah, for me, I'm basing that off of what I have seen in California projects. California has a lot of regulations typically, and it's not every single one. I'd say 80% of the utilities are about 10% water loss, okay? Right around there, if not a little bit lower, okay? So based off that, and then the total linear miles of pipe.
Okay.
That's, and again, it's a hard estimate, but to give you an idea, New Mexico, we have a lot of projects out there. We actually just signed a 4-year deal with their environmental department for the entire state. They have systems out there, 60, 70, 80% water loss. We can recommend however many, we're probably not going to get it right when there's that much water loss. There could be 6 leaks within 1 point of interest. We really won't know. So for us, it's a little bit more manageable to get closer to that number in California. Why? Because typically all the utilities are, give or take, very close in terms of water loss.
Okay. Have you looked at Hesperia or Victorville and actually done the scan of their system or the?
Yes.
Okay. And
Yes.
how many points showed up on those?
Yeah. So that is something I haven't gotten approval to talk about. Hesperia, I don't even know off the top of my head. Victorville, Sam Arvizu, he did give me clearance, so I can kind of attest to that. Points of interest, I feel Victorville was about 180, and I'm going off the top of my head. I think about 180. To date, they have found, the last I checked, which was 2 weeks ago, I just went on vacation for 2 weeks. I was overseas, but I checked before I left, they had found 141 leaks.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'd be interested to see what Victorville 2 looks like. 'Cause
Yeah.
Victorville 2 is going to be almost identical as far as the age and the type of pipes and lot sizes.
Yeah.
That'd be a good comparison.
What I would recommend, I'm happy to do this. I can give you guys the contact information for essentially the champions we have at each one. Sam Arvizu, I've talked to him multiple times.
George has them.
Yeah. So
Sean, between George and Sean,
yeah,
they got them.
perfect. So you guys can chat with them. I know the leaks for sure. They were at least 141. Points of interest, I have 180 in my head. I might be off a few, but I mean, you could definitely check with Sam. I'm sure he's happy to give you the information.
What was San Bernardino's water loss? I probably missed it.
0.8 million gallons per day.
Yeah, but
No, it was their water loss. I don't know their percentage. Their percentage, I don't know. They finalized that project as I was coming in. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I can connect you with Tim Potter. I can get you that answer.
I know typically, you say 10% on average, but could they have been at 18? I mean,
I would say at least. I'd say over 15 for sure. Maybe creeping into the 20s, but off the top of my head, I don't know what they were
Well,
at.
San Bernardino took over a lot of mutual water companies in the last 20 years in and around. So those systems were Swiss cheese.
Do you guys know what percentage you guys are at in water loss? I know percentage isn't like the most ideal way to look at it nowadays, but about 13? Okay. Yeah, I think they were creeping up close to 20. I would assume. I'll ask Tim and then I'll get back to you guys.
yeah, for some reason, I had 18 stuck on my mind. We had the presentation. So
Okay.
I just wanted to kind of bring it out that it was pretty high.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, well, kind of got it. I mean, you know more about. Jen, when we kind of entertained this through the Strategic Partners Grant, which was, I think, 25,000, we included this as a potential project. On top of that, I think you could speak more in detail on the other grant that you have listed here.
So at the beginning of the year, we were awarded a grant from the Bureau of Reclamation for about 42,000. That was put on hold for quite a while. When we were awarded it, we were in the process of getting the strategic partner with Mojave, so it was going to cover about 75% of the cost. That is something we could still explore potentially. They opened their grant process at the beginning of the year, but right now we're sitting on the grant from Bureau of Rec.
Thank you.
So add the 42,000 with Bureau Rec and the 25 with Mojave, that can cover a good percentage of this project. So I know we received a proposal some time ago, and I know it's changed a little bit. And we spoke with Bruno regarding that, if we can kind of hold the price. So
Yeah. So the good thing is Bruno's now the director of sales. So he's going to have a lot more influence than he did because he went to director of account management and now he's taking over both. Again, I can't guarantee that I can give that price exactly because it expired, but I do think that I can, if I can't get it at the exact number it was, I can get it very, very close. The reason being, Bruno started this project, he's probably going to want to see it through. So I think I'll have his support.
yeah, I think a little bit that we were kind of pushing, and Bruno was kind of leaning towards that, is that we brought this to Mojave Water Agency as a collective entity to go after grant funding, to include these other local agencies, the City of
Yeah.
Victorville, Hesperia,
Right.
ourselves. So Jen and I, we were kind of developing this group. Now, it wasn't, there was no movement at Mojave. Even Mojave was interested. And I think 2 years ago at ACE, Mike Simpson, operation manager for Mojave, went and spoke. You know, we sat in with Bruno on a presentation. You were there as well. Bruno was like, well, you know, you brought on some of these customers, you know, unfortunately, we've done nothing. We could probably hold that price. So
Yeah.
I'm rooting for that.
Yeah.
Just remind Bruno.
Absolutely, I will. I don't want to put him in a position where you guys go, Matias said, and then he has to stick to it.
And he's like, Matias is out of a job
Yeah.
now.
I have a good feeling that we can honor it, but until I sit down and talk with them, I can't guarantee it. But I'll keep you guys in the loop. I'm well aware of it. I think Bruno is too. So I would say it looks good, but
Yeah, another thing, we had executive TAC a few weeks ago, and this presentation was recommended as one of their items for the TAC meeting. We couldn't get you in the October, but we got you in for December.
Yeah.
So add another check mark to that.
Yeah,
Discount.
definitely. Right on, right on.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, with that, no further questions. I
No further
think we've
questions.
exhausted our.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate all you guys having me, and yeah, thank you for your time.
All right,
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very
for the
much.
drive.
all right. Item number 5. Are we done? Yeah. Item
we're done,
number
thank you.
5, OSD Recharge Study Project.
No new updates.
No new updates, okay. Discussion regarding water system, item 6.
We begun pulling our booster pumps for their annual maintenance. We have scheduled to start our tank washout program here in October. We have the first couple already scheduled. Water quality, there's a list of the samples that were taken on page 40. Our service line replacement program, our crews continue to be very proactive. We've replaced 136 services year to date, 25 this fiscal, because we've been breaking off onto some other projects. And the main lines for wells 16 and 18 have been installed to service those. You have a graphic on the fill station for how much water's been sold this year. We just eclipsed $103,000 today, highest we've ever seen. And I believe number 8 will review where we're at on our wells.
All right, thank you. Item number 7, state regulations.
I have nothing new to add other than the hexavalent chromium.
No pre-emerging constituents?
None yet.
All right, thank you.
We did conclude our 4th and final round of PFAS sampling, and I'm happy to report we're negative across the board.
Awesome, that is good news. Item number 8, review of current projects.
For wells 16 and 18, both conductor casings have been installed. The rig is assembled. The bit has been built. They are mixing mud as we speak, and we will commence drilling tomorrow morning
Good deal.
for well 16. Well 18 also had its conductor casing installed. Everything's fenced. So as soon as we're done drilling at well 16, we're going to mobilize the rig over to well 18 and commence drilling there. For tank 6A, George, you want to take that one?
Yes, so I believe the NEPA has been advertised, so it should be closing here real soon for the environmental. With that in hand, then we can go out for proposals on the design. We've done the soil investigation. The site's been topographically surveyed. It's just a matter of getting the engineers to do what they need to do on it. So.
Could you remind me again where 6A is at?
Right
Okay,
up on top of
perfect.
the hill.
That's what I thought. I wanted to make sure. Thank you. All right. Item number 9, staff reports.
I have none to.
I have nothing more to add.
Yeah.
Okay. 10, review of action items.
There were none.
Set the agenda for
Okay,
the.
hold on one
Go
second,
ahead.
sorry. So for current meeting action items, we need to double back on the staff recommendation for the satellite leak detection. We were required to give staff direction on whether or not to proceed with getting the quote from Estera and then bringing the, complete presentation back to the board. So is
Yeah.
that something that we want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that recommendation from staff if they want to do that. I think there's a lot of information. I'd kind of like to see a proposal on what potential costs would be. So I would say move forward with that, have them provide a quote, and then we could bring it back for later discussion on the details. I mean, that was a pretty good sales pitch, but I'd like to focus more on some of the data points and how it'll benefit us.
Yeah, part of the proposal that we received, there were options for 1 scan, 2 scans, 2 scans, and boots on the ground. So there's those guys options, you would call it.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see the proposal. We
Right.
could do the math.
Right, absolutely.
That would give us the opportunity to vet their references as well.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't
Good
realizing
point.
they
No,
needed direction.
Yeah, no,
Usually
I
they'll.
missed it too. So that's why I asked. Thank you, sorry about that.
That's okay. And just comment on that, I think anytime there's pending projects or resources that are available, staff shouldn't have an issue reaching out and getting cost proposals, and if they think it's viable, bring it through the engineering committee and then move forward. And that'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. All right,
Or 2 stones with 1 bird.
2 stones with 1 bird.
That's Chuck Norris.
Yeah,
Nice.
all right.
And then, so question, George, didn't we go over a date for the engineering committee meeting for October? Because we weren't going to do the 15th because it conflicts with Greg's regular meeting.
Yeah, we kind of missed the presentation with Estera, but Jan, do you recall a conversation regarding an agenda item or agenda for October?
I mean, we were planning on it, but if you guys have a different date.
I feel like we had talked about it when we changed September's date.
You may have talked to Dawn,
Talked to-
maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, to George.
Yeah, it was
George
Dawn and I.
And
that-
Dawn.
Yeah.
All right, so
we'll have to
we
get
can
back with
circle
you.
back on the
Yeah.
actual date for the October engineering committee meeting then?
Yeah.
Unless you have it written down somewhere what I said.
No, I don't.
Okay, because I don't remember.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Rebecca.
No problem.
All right, so does that, so that's prior meeting information, current meeting information. And we'll set the agenda for the next meeting once the calendars are looked at and there's a viable date. So right now, we're not gonna set a date.
Okay.
And with that, the meeting, we have adjournment, so the meeting will adjourn at 6:12 PM. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.